Hey everyone, it's Skyler.
And it's Tyler.
And welcome to episode 9 of Bird Talk.
So on this episode, we have two guests. The whole theme of this podcast is talking about leaders.
This particular episode.
Yeah, this particular episode of of our podcast. It's about just basically the leaders who aren't nearly not in the spotlight nearly as much as they should be.
These are the ones who kind of work not necessarily behind the scenes, but just they're just not as in the spotlight as some of our other director levels.
But we have the director of strategy, Ethan West, and we have our team secretary, Sabrina Almeida.
Hello.
Quick tip. So thank you, Sabrina, and thank you, Ethan, for joining us.
No problem. Happy to be here.
So let's just start with Ethan, why don't you give like a little explanation about what exactly you do as director of strategy? Like what does that mean?
So yeah, for director of strategy, we're on the SD or the technical side of the team. And we kind of work with the scouting at competitions that everyone is involved with. And then we also are involved with, figuring out the strategy in terms of like the robot, in matches, like what we're doing for matches and all sorts of things. And just all robot related. So yeah.
So what have you guys been doing this year then, since we haven't really had competitions?
Yeah, so since we haven't been having competitions, we've been doing little watch parties and kind of scouting out. And I've been making a new curriculum because we haven't had strategy as a subgroup, as a formal subgroup in probably it's been 3 years since we've had it as a formal subgroup. So I've been.
I mean, you could argue that last year they campaigned for it to be a subgroup, but yeah.
That's
it was kind of too late in the process. It was made more of an unofficial subgroup last year.
Yeah, as scouting, it was deemed scouting as the subgroup, but officially now it's strategy.
Very cool.
Sabrina, what do you do on the team? Just
Okay, so I am the team secretary, and basically what I do is I sit in during like the chief and director meetings to take notes, so then that way everything that's said is documented and can be referred back to. And I do a lot of what, any general executive member would do, including chairman's pages, planning for outreach, and I also help with the chairman's website that we're doing this year. I don't have a subgroup like a lot of the other D levels do because it's really a solo job. And also, this is a brand new position that has never been done before. So there's still a lot that I'm trying to figure out as far as what I'm really supposed to do and my function in the team. And yeah, that's kind of it.
Well, you're doing a great job considering like your chairman's pages were done like that.
Yeah. Sabrina is definitely the most responsible out of all of us on the executive subgroup.
I do have to
down.
And the communications and development subgroup too, probably. Maybe tied with like Erica does her work.
Yeah, Erica's pretty good about like being involved.
Yeah, especially for like a new member. Okay, so what did you guys do like last year and like just before you guys were these leadership positions? What did you guys do in the past on the team?
So I'm a sophomore now. Last year was my first year on the team, and I was a member of the finance subgroup, and I was kind of the only general member there because like
yes you were
me, it was Skyler and then Pratham, and then I remember Ananya, she would come in every now and then, but
yep.
I was there consistently. And
you saved us.
Yeah, finance is kind of my home. It still kind of is because I'm in the CCDO subgroup right now to help around there. And that's more or less all I did. I also did like the sponsor newsletter last year, and I would check in on ST like every week to see what they were doing, write it down, and then we'd send it out with the sponsor newsletter.
She is... Sabrina, you're very humble. You literally saved us last year, just for the record. It would have been Pratham and myself and like the occasional one or two other members who would sometimes come by to help if you hadn't come along. So
Thank you. That I appreciate hearing that.
Okay, Ethan, what about you? What did you do last year? And just in the past?
Yeah, so last year I was actually the director of electronics. So I did everything like the wiring of everything and all the placing all the components down and teaching all the current members. So I taught the current director of electronics. She's my peer and was previously my student. I mean, we're all peers, but you know what I mean. So yeah,
the student becomes the master.
I know, but I always help every once in a while anyway. So, but it's nice to see what you taught in the student that is now the director. So, yeah, that's definitely an interesting relationship, at least director wise. Anyways, and then also I was the driver, the co-driver. I just in the last off season, not during the actual main season. So I've actually never done a main season competition. I've never driven at one, but I have driven at all three of the 2019 off season as the co-driver, and we did pretty well. They were my first competitions, and I think we did okay in the most competitive one out of all of them. But in the next two after that, we got consecutively both in picking
alliance selection.
In alliance selections, we picked other teams. So we were in the top 8.
I hadn't really thought about that, but the fact that you never actually got to drive at like a on-season competition.
I almost did, actually. It was, now that I think about it, it was 4 days ago, was the anniversary of both the lockdown and then also
the competition.
Yeah.
That was the day. I remember the day before, we actually set up the field, got everything ready, and then the day after we had to tear it all down. And I was so excited I would finally do an actual competition match and drive in that, but alas, that was not the case.
Yeah,
but I'm hoping to eventually.
Yeah, I remember I had because my subgroup or especially just we had been working on the business plan. We had to do the business plan that year, and I remember my subgroup had we had redone it many times, and then we had finally finished it the day before, then literally the night before. I mean, just it's last minute, as in everything is with robotics, but we had just finished our the final what's copy basically of the business plan, and then
draft.
Yes, there it is. That's the word, draft. And it all just kind of stopped.
Yeah, that was okay. That competition that got canceled, that was going to actually be my very first competition because I was never able to go to any of the off-season comps because I joined kind of late. And then also I wasn't in, any FLL stuff because I just barely moved here. So I was really excited, but then nothing happened, and
I was pretty lucky that I had family that was participating on the team before, my dad and my brother, they were all on the team, they were full participating, so I was already participating. I actually worked under Noah last year, even though I was not on the team, and oh man,
that you sucks acted as his apprentice.
Intern apprentice, it's all the same thing.
Yeah, neither are paid, so I don't know. Last year just got kind of crazy.
But it's a question for both of you. What made you want to actually go for your position on the team?
I guess I'll take this one. I basically it was pretty noticeable because everyone could see whenever anyone would ask or come and watch a video and it'd be about a robot with some random number, I'd be like, oh yeah, I know that team, and stuff like that. It's started as an addiction, I guess, kind of. Watching robot videos. I don't know why, but I just got so fascinated over it. I just watched random match videos from all sorts of years, learned all about all sorts of robots, and now I'm like a little textbook. I have a little tiny comprehensive knowledge about like almost all of FRC and a unfortunately high amount of FTC too, which isn't even the same competition. Just that, you come across it every once in a while in the same videos,
I mean, I was on FTC and we didn't even really need to do that.
Yeah. And then in combination with me doing a lot of scouting. I know at my first off-season event, before we had the actual scouting rotations, for when we started making scouting a subgroup, going back to that, which were great, I've got to say. So I'm so glad that strategy or scouting in some form is a subgroup now.
Your addiction became your job.
I know.
That's everyone's dream.
Become my job, and so now I give the excuse to my mom. She's like, "Why are you on your phone watching a video?" And I'm like, "I'm just doing my job. I don't understand. There shouldn't be a problem with this." Of course, I'm kidding. Most of the time, I am just rewatching videos or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty nice. So,
what about you, Sabrina?
Okay, so last year I was actually gunning for like 2 positions, one of them being this one, the other one being director of finance, because that was the group I had like, the most experience in. But team secretary, like I will not kid you, as soon as I saw that there was a secretary position, I kind of jumped in my seat, because in both middle school and elementary school, I was the student council secretary, and I was an avid, so I knew a lot about organizations. So I thought, okay, I'm perfect for this job. I'm going for this. And I was like very confident I was going to get it. So I was like, let's do this.
I remember
only on the robotics team will people jump in their seat when they see a secretary position.
That's literally okay. I went for CEO, and then when I didn't get that, then like for director positions, when I was looking at them when they like the new positions and all came out in their descriptions, I saw team secretary, and I did like the same thing Sabrina did, and I like freaked because the secretary position is very similar. Like a lot of that stuff I did last year, in addition to like the other things I did as the chief operations officer. That was kind of secretary duties was part of that, my responsibilities. So I had to like, and I enjoyed that kind of stuff, and I enjoyed staying organized and all of that kind of thing. So I like was super excited when I saw that. And I remember when I didn't get it, I was like, what? I was a shoo-in. How did I not get it? And then as soon as they announced that Sabrina got it, I remember I was like, yeah, no, that was a good choice. I would have gone with her too.
I've got to say the note taking is pretty great. It's
really?
I don't know how. I mean, I also am very slow at typing, but I've got to say, during the leadership meetings, just the ability to have just a complete comprehensive like of everything that everyone said, and then just the fact that you're able to transcribe it that fast, I'm like, that just blows my mind personally. So yeah. I mean, I've got to say, that's pretty cool.
Thank you. It's not easy because like I will like miss half the stuff, so I have to go back and I have to add in what I do remember. Luckily, my short-term memory isn't like that bad, so I can remember like most of the stuff that was said.
Should go work in a courthouse.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like the transcribers for that.
So can't get over it. I jumped in my seat when I saw a secretary position.
What can I say? I was well suited, and I was like, "Let's go! This is my
position
time."
Secured.
It really was. I'm and honestly, like I'm not at all surprised by that. Again, as soon as I was like I wasn't mad that I didn't get the position, but like I was like upset because like it's my last year and I had like done a lot for the team, and I was like I would have done well with this position. But then as soon as like I'm not kidding, as soon as I heard it was Sabrina, I was like, that was the best choice they could have ever made, really. Like, there was no other option. Skyler, I'd never heard of her. Like,
This is really flattering to hear.
Well, I mean, I'm also like, Sabrina, you were my like one of my only general members. Okay, you were one of my only general members last year. So it's like, and you were a very, very great general member to have. So you were very good about getting your work done and everything. So I just
Thank you. It's nice to know that my work is appreciated here.
Cool. I felt like a proud mama once they said that like you got the position. I was like, oh, that's my baby girl. Oh my gosh, you did it. Yeah.
Thank you, mother. Thank you, robotics mother.
Yep.
Okay. Robo mom.
Oh my gosh, what did I do? Okay, so I mean, okay, we'll start. I guess we'll start with this is for both you, Sabrina, and Ethan, but we'll start with I guess whoever wants to answer. But so okay, obviously you guys like, I mean, Ethan, you've been on the team for 2-3 years now. Sabrina, you've only been on the team for about like a year. This is your second year on the team.
Yep.
And you haven't really been able to have the full robotics experience, sadly, yet. But so far, what are some of your favorite like experiences and memories that you have from the team? Just anything.
Ooh, okay. I guess I can go first. Team Jeopardy night. That was an interesting experience, especially like since I've never been a part of a group as big as robotics. It was very kind of comforting. Jeopardy it kind of felt like a party, but at least I actually knew everyone there and I wasn't alone by myself in the corner.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Team Jeopardy nights, they hold like a pretty prominent place in my robotics memory.
Hopefully we can keep doing those once we get back.
I had to fight. I'm just gonna say I had to fight Pascal for a bag of Funyuns one time. That was interesting.
Oh goodness. Now how did that happen?
Yeah.
There was one bag left, and then we started digging through the rest of it and we found another bag, but like before we knew that there was one bag, there was 2 bags left. We were fighting over that one bag. That was interesting. I've never had to do that before.
I'm not going to lie, like not even surprised. That sounds exactly like something Mr. Pasquale would do.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But as for the actual the Jeopardies, yeah, those were great. I got way too into it. Like it was a problem.
It was awesome because we all got way too into it though.
We did. But the problem is that I had team numbers in like half of all FRC knowledge on my hand. So everyone would be like arguing. But even though I would throw them all the time because I wouldn't say what is or whatever, but I knew the answer. I said it. And then everyone would be like raising their hands and everything. It was great.
Yeah, I remember there was like it was always like the front 2 groups. It didn't really matter who was sitting there, but the front 2 groups were always like the most competitive. And then the other groups would like, sometimes they would be competitive and then sometimes they wouldn't. But like, I remember I started trying to help Daphne just host, like run the Jeopardy nights whenever I could instead of participating, because it would frustrate me because I get way too competitive, and when I wouldn't win, it wasn't like a poor sport thing. It was just like
there was no prize.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's about knowing who knows the most.
It's about pride. It's about pride.
Exactly. Tyler. So that's where because it's a team thing. Sometimes you would know an answer, but your teammates wouldn't, and then it would just. I had to step away for a while and just help Daphne run it because it's too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeopardy was actually the one thing, like one of the experiences on the team that I did have, like shortly.
Okay, Ethan, what about you? Like, what is so for all of your time on the team, what are like some of your favorite experiences? Just competition, meetings, anytime.
Yeah, so Jeopardy was definitely very fun. Great way to just regroup during the tough long sessions at the shop. At the shop, I've got to say, the late nights have been probably one of my favorite. And it's probably something shared from everyone that's been at a late night meeting. But even though like I know distinctly I spent like all the way from 12 like on a Saturday to 8 o'clock the next morning, and then I went home, slept for 4 hours, and then I got up, and then I went right back to the shop for this is the open house weekend. Did open house, and then we worked on the robot even more. I distinctly remember that. And
Yeah, I
was
remember hearing about that.
that was terrible, but it was also like the best. Just like just the weird, just wacky things that you do like at night, like just go and pick up McDonald's or food, or Antonio sleeping in Christian's SUV for a couple hours, and stuff like that. That's the stuff you definitely keep with you.
Yeah,
but
it's part of the good old robotics experience right there.
Yep. I mean, I know I always love late nights. I mean, I would never stay that late, but like even just staying till like 12 or like past 12, it was it was very interesting, and it was a very different vibe, for lack of like a different word, than the rest of the meetings.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a little different, but
it's like a fun different.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun different. And just as for like actual, obviously competitions are a great experience that everyone loves, but from when I went to the off seasons, early crew was definitely one of my favorite. Just the stuff you get to do there, and just like hanging out with the drive team or the other directors and just neighbors or Shahe. It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Okay, so other than Best, Sabrina, you kind of went into it, but what is your funniest like experience just overall with the team?
If I could take one if you got it, if you're working on it.
Yeah, you can go.
Probably it's probably one of the late night experiences that, because there's like very specific things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, to use the restroom, we have to walk from the shop to the bathroom in the NPR, and it's quite the walk. And at 4 a.m. in the morning, it just looks like apocalyptic out there. It looks terrifying. Like everyone was scared. Like you go out with Shahe and he'd be quivering. I mean, I'm just saying, you were
know
not
if you're coming back.
We kept it to groups of 4s, and we had our flashlights on and everything.
Groups of 4, not even like groups of 2.
No,
it was like
4.
You had to have a buddy, and then your buddy had to have a buddy, and then your buddy's buddy had to have a buddy.
We would do it like Wizard of Oz.
School.
We would do the chain with the arms, and we wouldn't skip there. We would not skip, mostly because Christian was on his Segway, and that just wouldn't work out well. But we would walk, and that was fun. But then once we got there, we would try to scare each other within the bathrooms and in the NPR.
No wonder why you thought it was scary.
Okay, well then, were you more scared of the unknown, or were you more scared of just the other team, like our other teammates, like jumping out at you? Or was it kind of just scared of all of the above?
Just, it wasn't like you were scared of them. It just like you knew it was going to happen, and you didn't want to get bested, more because you wanted to keep your pride. You wanted to keep the glory of not getting scared.
Also, you were sleep deprived.
Yeah, that too. So you could see like your vision was probably like half what it would normally be.
And all of your other senses are like height way too high.
Yeah, that was fun. That was definitely a good experience. Or two.
It was terrible. I hated it, but yeah, I would do it again.
I feel like that's just robotics in general.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was stressful. It was a mess. I really don't know why I ever did this, and I don't think that anyone should ever do it. But yeah, I totally am going to join again.
See you
totally
next year. See you next
year. Yep.
After the summer.
What about you, Sabrina? What is like some of your funniest memories? One of your funniest experiences?
Okay, so first of all, the Pascal thing, that is probably at the front of my mind, but to narrow it down to one other one, like, that's kind of hard because there's always a lot going on in robotics, and the other thing is that, I was an IR kid, and, IR isn't quite as crazy as ST.
Yeah.
But the funny memories I do remember weren't actually funny for me. They were funny for the other people involved, because they were the seniors, and they were making fun of me for being a freshman. And it was like, if I were in that position, I would be laughing too. I didn't know anything. And also I was I was a shy little weeaboo last year.
Just join robotics. Just want to work, and then you just have people harassing you.
Yeah. No, like I remember. Okay, so my friends and I, we are all weeaboos. We got together for a project, and of course we incorporated anime into it at some point. And I remember I was working on it during robotics, and then one of the seniors came up behind me, and they just started making fun of me for it because they knew what it was from, and they knew all the references. So I was just like, ah, I was trying to laugh with them, but like deep in my heart, I was like really embarrassed about it.
Yeah, it's
so,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it feels like even last year, like anime has not gotten like, I feel like 2 years ago it was way more strange to watch anime than it is now. Like,
Yeah.
I think over quarantine, people are just, they didn't have anything to do, so like tons of people just started watching anime.
Yes, I know more people that watch anime now because they watch over quarantine. So this is fun.
It's like people I thought would never watch anime are now, and it's weird. Like even my dad watches anime. But yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a fun experience though.
Yeah, but
You know, Tyler, I feel like you and I have been doing a really good job about making the team just sound amazing. We've been doing a really good job of talking up the team these past 2 podcasts specifically, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's a
For
nightmare.
sure.
Don't join.
Oh my gosh.
But I would definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as long
Fun.
as
In
yeah,
theory.
it is.
In theory, yeah.
It's like pulling an all-nighter. It takes a lot out of you, but it's really fun.
I mean, according to the definition of the word fun, no, it's not fun, but it's a great time.
Yep. You'll definitely have a lot of experiences that will last a lifetime if you do robotics. I mean, now
Good
how
or
many of
bad?
those will be good? I don't know, but like you'll have a lot of experiences anyway.
Mm-hmm. Good stories to tell.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll be interesting. That's what
conversation
robotics
starters.
takes you out of it. Boosts your confidence, and it allows you to have good stories.
I mean, okay, yeah, sure.
Can't say it doesn't boost your confidence. I mean, you're getting things thrown at you during chairman's like stuff for your presentation.
That didn't really boost my confidence. Are you talking about like are you talking about
the stress training thing?
Stress test doesn't boost your confidence.
What is
I mean, I did feel really good about myself.
To your core.
I mean, personally, I did pretty well in it. I mean, I didn't do perfect. I broke a few times, but like I did pretty well. And I wasn't I didn't break the most Zach was when I did it. So like I did feel pretty good about myself in comparison to like Zach and stuff in terms of how long I lasted. But like it didn't necessarily boost my confidence.
Someday you'll learn, Skyler. It was all staged.
I need some context for this. What is the stress test?
Okay, so the chairman's team, we talk about it in the last podcast episode. So if you want more details, you should listen to that later. But basically, it's just the chairman's presentation team does when they're practicing after they have their the presentation down and everything before the first competition, they schedule a stress test and they'll have like different coaches, mentors, leaders, team leaders, members of the team, like a select few come and while the chairman's team, they dress up in their outfits that they're going to wear for competition. Will do exactly what they do at a competition. So like because at competition, you go into the judging room, you have to shake their hands, you have to, you're wearing your nice outfit, whatever it is for that presentation. Then you present and do all of that. And then you have to answer questions after and everything. And you do that for the stress test, exactly how you would do it for competition, except throughout the whole time, everybody else in the room, all the students, leaders, mentors, whatever, they're all trying to get you to break. And every time that you break, miss a line, stutter, mess up a gesture, or start laughing, smile, or anything at all, if you break in any way, or even just show a sign of that you're about to, then you stop and you have to go back, leave the room, re-enter, shake everyone's hand again, redo the whole thing. And you have to do it as many times as it takes until all three presenters don't break once during the whole presentation. And so they do everything. They yell at you, they'll play music. They one time, Mr. Peterson mentioned this in the last podcast episode, but one time, it wasn't when I was a chairman's presenter. However, I remember I was told about it right before I went in for my stress test, and I was like, oh goodness, oh goodness, oh goodness. But like one of the people had put lotion, like a big, like just pile of lotion on their hands. So then as soon as the chairman's presenters went to shake their hand, and they were like the first hand that you shook. So as soon as the chairman's presenters went to shake their hand, squish, and they just got lotion on there, and
a look of mortification.
You're not allowed to check and see what it is. So all they knew was that there was something squishy and lotiony on their hands, and they had to just keep going, and they had to shake every other person's hand and continue on. So that all the other people, like Mr. Peterson said, he was like further down the line, so he had no idea this had happened. But then once they got to him, there was still lotion on it. So then he got, every single person after that got lotion on their hand.
He knew exactly what it was.
But it was just, yeah, I'm like, and like they had silly string last time when I was there. They had silly string. I think they did use it, but they didn't get any on me. And I remember because I was like, I had to go and buy like a specific nice clothes that I didn't already have. And like, do you know how hard it is to find a white button-up long sleeve shirt for females? Like, It is surprisingly difficult. So I was like, you guys, people barely tried to break me because I think they weren't necessarily scared to, but at the same time, like, I was just like, I will come at you later I got my eyes on you. I do remember one time Donald, he was there for my stress test, and he had threatened to pour water on me. So he like had the water over my head, and he did get a little bit on me, and he kept doing that the whole presentation. So I'm like, I don't want him to actually pour water on me, because I can keep going, but like, I'm gonna be highly uncomfortable. So I'm like, I'd rather break now before he puts water on me than have to just suffer through water getting poured on me. So yeah, that's the stress test basically.
That sounds exciting.
It's, oh my gosh. And see, Zach, he was before your time, but Sabrina, he was the senior member of the chairman's presentation team back when we used to do one sophomore, one junior, and one senior. And
Zach Klein?
Yes, Zach Klein. And so his girlfriend was on the team, and she got to help with the stress test. So she just was she just would try to make him break the whole time. And Zach is not very good at like just not breaking and not laughing and keeping a straight face and everything. But it was especially hard because he had to try, his girlfriend knew all of his weaknesses, you know?
Uh-oh.
So yeah, it's very interesting. That is for sure. All right. Okay. So last question for you guys before we let you guys go. What is your favorite bird on the team? Okay. One time we asked this, and when we asked this to Dimple, when we interviewed her, she thought we meant birds. But just to clarify, we do mean team birds.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite? Don't be
saying the golden kingfisher.
Yeah.
I would have to say Randy. Randy is unappreciated. He needs some more love, a little more love. And also, I remember like last year we were looking through bins, and we found this thing that looked like Randy, like a
that thing was that looked terrifying.
But it was like alien Randy, and I remember like we looked back at the old animation videos, and it was like a plush of one of the aliens that the birds had to face in the animation video. And yeah, I looked at him, and I felt he was staring into my soul. So that was interesting.
That thing was kind of scary.
You looked into it, but it looked back.
Yeah.
It did not look at you, it looked through you. It could see all the wrong that you had done.
Okay, Ethan, what about you?
Everyone loves, so here's my problem. I think Randy is very solid. He's definitely my number 2. He's 100% my number 2. I don't know about Coney and Rolo, but I want to definitely say Blocky, and not Blocko, because Blocko is just overappreciated. Blocko isn't technically real.
This is a
How
very,
dare
very
you?
true.
How dare
No,
you?
Ethan,
It's
speak.
technically real. As a team bird, he is not real.
Blocko is a part of our hearts.
No, he's not. I agree with Ethan.
But
Ethan, just
he's
keep
not-
going.
You agree wrong, Skyler.
Robot. Actually,
Okay,
he
wait.
is-
Say that again. I couldn't hear.
he is a robot rather than a bird, and he's also a symbol. I think for
Ethan's coming in with this logic, man.
But there's a drawing of Blocko.
I know there
Yes,
is
a symbol.
T-shirts on
Yep.
it. That's this rather. I don't want to call it a bird because it means something more, and so but it's not a bird. It's just beyond that.
It's an idea.
It's an idea. Yeah.
It's a belief
symbol of
system.
how crazy
It's
we
a
are as
call
team.
to action.
No, I remember like when I first came to the team, like the first day I actually like came to the room. That was like that drawing of Blocko was the first thing I saw. It was like on the table as I entered the room, and I was like, "Wait, is this actually the name of one of the birds?" And
Yes.
then I remember I called it. I asked my friend like because we were like she gave me one of her hats and it was the blue one, and I think it was the blue one. I don't remember. I just remember, wait, is this the Blocko hat? And she like started laughing because she knew that wasn't the right one and that I was saying it wrong.
Oh my gosh, that was your first impression of the team?
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
walked in
first
and I saw the drawing
impression.
of Blocko on the whiteboard.
That's a good first impression, I might say.
Actually, that's where you know whether or not you really want to be a part of the team is when you see its true colors first.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. That's a very accurate first impression. But I feel like if I were to see that as my first impression, I would have been like terrified
To
for
be
my
fair,
life.
it's different for different people. If you see that immediately, you're instantly drawn to it. But other people, they're like, "That's really weird." Maybe.
Yeah, how dare they?
And they have to take a bit to warm up, you know.
Yeah, but then again, we don't really want those people who are like, "That's really weird" on the team. It's probably better that they get, kind of pushed away
Like,
from
if you're not
robotics. Because
comfortable
if they're
with
not
being
comfortable with
weird,
Blocko,
Get
then
out.
this
If
team
you don't love me
probably
at my
isn't good.
Blocko-
Bye-bye.
If you don't
To
love
be
me at
fair-
my Blocko, you don't deserve me at my. I don't know what would go after that, but you know that meme.
At
Yeah.
my Tony Robo Blocky.
Oh
But,
my gosh.
Yeah, I definitely think Blocko's a very good symbol for the team. He's very great. I think Blocko is very great.
Yeah.
He's an icon,
Yes,
not a
actually.
character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are both you guys both your favorite birds are great choices. They're wrong, but they're good choices.
Oh, so
I
what are you
see.
suggesting? So where's your suggestion here?
It's Rolo because I don't know.
That's
I just
actually
like Rolo.
He be
Rolo's,
rolling.
Rolo's like actual picture. I can see it because I'm currently looking at the trailer, in the parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ethan's actually coming to us live from the shop because he thought we were recording it there.
I almost messaged you that it was on Zoom and I thought I did, but I guess I forgot and I apologize.
I've got to say, the noise isolation from within the car. I said it before, and I'm going to say it now. It's great. It's really good.
Mhm.
But yeah, Rolo has a great picture. I've got to.
Yeah, I mean, okay. See, I like Rolo for multiple reasons. Well, when I joined the team, it was everybody either liked because like there wasn't Blocko, Randy wasn't really talked about as much at that time yet. He had gone away from everybody's minds, and then he kind of resurfaced again. Like my later years on the team, but like so when I joined the team, it was everybody always said either Blocky or Coney. Though it was always those two. Nobody ever said Rolo. Maybe one person did, but I can't even think of like anybody.
So
who
you
really
wanted
did.
to stick with the underdog, Skyler.
Yeah. I don't really like following the crowd, and it's just like, I automatically tend to go for the thing that is like the least common or kind of just not the underdog kind of thing. So and then I also I really like shapes, and I really like circles. They're my favorite shapes. So like Rolo is just kind of and like I have like a roll of stuffy in my room and stuff from when I made little mini birds for the seniors a few years ago. Well, okay, actually, Ethan, I know I said this was my last question, but we haven't really we haven't talked to anybody really. Basically, how are the pods? Like, how is it meeting in person in like the pods kind of way? Because obviously that's not going to be like, they're not going to be exactly like regular meetings and everything from past years.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna put this out here. So if anyone that is on YouTube that is from our team watching this podcast right now is on IR, you can join these pods. And in fact, you could make your own pod and go to the shop and do IR stuff, because I know you can do it over Zoom and everything. But it actually really helps to be in person, especially for all the freshmen and stuff that don't really know about that. But I've got to say, the pod experience is great. It's really good. We're all wearing masks. Like there's no safety issues, I would say, at all whatsoever. And we're keeping it to the appropriate size per room. We're going outside when necessary, especially in the collaborative time when we need to have a little bit more people with space out and use the whiteboards outside on the deck, or just outside in general. And there's food. You get food, free food. Not gonna lie.
I think any members who are listening, you probably got them at free food. So
I probably did, because
probably should have started with that.
Yeah, you're welcome for that. My mom and I bring it.
And everyone, all the boosters are great. Your mom, Tyler, is absolutely phenomenal. Antonio's mom, my mom pitches in every once in a while. I don't know all the rest of them, to be honest. But everyone else, all the boosters, great. Just super, super nice, super great of them to put in all that time. But anyways, they have food. So there's burrito plates, there's like taco plates, like taquito plates sometimes, like a full plate, like the stuff from Bobby Salazar's. There's pizza, there's cookies, there's all sorts of dessert. Definitely check.
Sorry, you go, Sabrina.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I remember last year that was always like the thing I really looked forward to, either on the Friday or Saturday meetings. Like, that's part of the reason I would come, because I didn't want my parents to have to worry about feeding me that night. So I was just like, I'm just gonna eat the food there.
Food was
and
good.
I know I'm covered. We good.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know I had said that was the last thing, Ethan, after I had already said that the other thing was the last thing, but I realized, okay, we're going to jump ahead. Normally we wait to talk about what's happening on IR and ST at the end, but since Ethan, you're here and you are part of ST and you are a, leader on the ST side, would you like to kind of explain, just, you don't have to talk about what the game is, but just like explain the new training build season thing for first and second year members of the team? If you want to quickly, just like, you don't have to go into too much detail, just kind of explain that,
For sure. So for anyone outside of the team, or for all the new members, or anyone that's just, I don't know, from the Buchanan area, that found their way to this video, we are starting a new training, and this is like a tennis themed game, and we're manipulating a tennis ball and shooting them into various different baskets on an actual tennis field, and it's designed to be played around that. I'm not going to go into the details as of course, but it's going to be a great new learning program, and all the first, second, and we're also allowing 8th graders to learn from this, as they're going to be freshmen. Yes, we are allowing. There are 2 8th graders currently signed up, possibly more joining, and so because they're going to be incoming freshmen in the fall, so our 3rd and 4th years are acting as a mentor role for these students, and we kind of know the answers, especially as the strategy director. I have researched games very similar to this, and so we kind of know the answers. We're not telling all the answers like a normal season, but just helping them figure out what their answers are going to be to the game challenge. So it's going to be great. It's like 12 weeks. I think the end of the school is the end of the
and that's our school year.
Yeah, or that's going to be our build season. And then after that, we're gonna post up some scores, and I think there might be a prize or two for these students. So if there were not enough incentive already, there's even more. I should have said prize at the beginning. I should have learned from my last mistake.
I realized after I had said that before that it's probably better that you had mentioned food last, because then it probably, yeah,
it keeps it in their mind.
Exactly. That way, in case they don't forget everything else. They're like, oh wait, food. Okay, maybe I do need to do this then. Okay.
Yeah. There may be a food type prize at the end. I don't know. I don't know.
Who knows?
It's just, I mean, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? No.
This is fair.
Yeah. So you might just have to join and check out, and you'll find out. So there's my little my PSA, my shameless plug for the new training. It's really great program, and you're gonna learn a lot.
Thank you, Ethan, and thank you, Sabrina, for joining us. This has been a good, fun talk.
Yeah, it's nice to actually.
It's been a blast.
It's been a blast, and it's actually nice to have people know what you guys do.
Yeah.
So it's been nice. It's been fun. It's been.
It has.
It's been
a good talk.
Said, a blast.
Sorry, it's not that I wasn't trying to hesitate because I didn't enjoy the conversation. It was more, I've had so many different interviews at this point on the podcast. I was trying to not be repetitive, but I really did. This was a good talk, and I think you guys did well with your answers and everything. So thank you.
You're welcome. I for sure had fun with this.
Yeah, this was fun. You know,
okay.
Good nostalgia.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, then I know, Ethan, you probably need to go to the meeting.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Bye.
Well, see ya.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
And then, Sabrina, you can stay if you want, or you can go because I know you're always busy with stuff. So if you need to go, you can go. But
okay, I will.
Okay.
See you guys later.
Bye. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay. See, I hesitated too much. I'm like, and then, oh goodness, I just didn't want to be repetitive because I say the same thing every time. And I didn't want to say it's been a blast because that's what I had said the 2 times ago. And then you said that last time. And I was like, oh, goodness. What do I do? Oh my gosh. It's okay. I just accidentally clicked the wrong button. It scared me.
All right.
Okay. So now moving on to the sponsor shout out section of, or the sponsor section of our podcast. So we don't have a specific sponsor that we're giving a shout out to this podcast episode, but we would like to remind everyone that if you or someone you know would like to sponsor the team, or you and someone you know would like to sponsor the team, that's even better, then just go to our website and you can find more information there, or you can contact us at contact@team1671.com. Yes. contact@team1671.com, I believe. You can find the information on the website if that were incorrect.
And so now it's gonna be quick because we already went over some stuff, but we're moving into our Nest News.
Nest News, woohoo!
Section. So Daphne, as I think we stated before, has new masks.
I believe I wrote in our outline for this podcast, it's masks. Daphne, $5. So yes, okay, continue.
Yeah, but
they're supposed to be more comfortable with the ear. Like they're adjustable this time. The last batch wasn't, and yeah.
Yeah, they're more like a traditional mask.
And they're not quite as, I don't think, like the other ones. They weren't adjustable, and they also were really big. These ones, they're adjustable, so they should fit better, and I don't think that they're quite as large.
Mm-hmm. And Chairman's documentation will be done, and
it'll be done possibly like within,
by the time this is released.
Or pretty close to the time this is released anyway.
Yeah, pretty close at least.
Yeah.
It should all be done by the time this is released, but...
And if it is not quite, then it will be before the next podcast is released. I can say that with complete certainty.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then again, ST, Ethan already talked about it, but the game, the build season thing that they're doing for first and second year members. If you are a member of our team and it is your first or second year, or you're an IR member and you want to learn about ST, or you just want to check things out because it seems interesting, any part of ST, then you should totally check out the pods for that, the build season project they're doing. And
and I think
that's it.
That's it for this episode.
This is Skyler and Tyler
signing off.